The following program is a collection of hooligans engaging in lively conversations about anything and everything that happens to populate in their heads. It is meant to be comedic entertainment. The opinions expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of the hosts, their peers, AIM Student Radio, or the Communication Media Department. P.S. Don't sue us and don't believe anything we say. Good afternoon, Ames Community College. It is now noon. My name is Josh. This is the first episode of the Dumpster Fire 4.2. This is the summer edition of the show. It's been a few weeks. It's been a wild few weeks, and I gotta tell you, I am so happy to be back. We did end up getting basically delayed a week and 2 days because my work schedule at my day job has been utterly chaotic. At first, I thought, it'll be a Monday afternoon show. We're gonna go on at 3. Okay. Then turns out work couldn't give me that schedule, but because of the times that I'm taking classes, I'm on this really weird schedule where most days I'm working 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., which makes no sense to me. And then I got to work nights Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is a bit of a pain. But thankfully, I am able to kind of adjust the time so I'm not working the full night shift and I can get off a little bit earlier most of the time. But it is a little bit of an adjustment. Obviously, there were some growing pains. I mean, it took us almost 2 weeks into the semester to get an episode out, but here we are. Kion will be in momentarily, and folks, it has been a wild few weeks. Why did all of the craziness have to happen right when the show ended? Like, why did this have to happen? But it did. Obviously, we can't control it, but now we are back. We're going to have a lot to talk about here on this episode. The main centerpiece of the episode is going to be, and some people might say, you took too long to get this out there. Well, sorry, there was a break in between spring and summer semesters, folks. I can't do anything to stop that. They wouldn't have let me in here while we were on break either way. So yeah, we had to wait. But we are going to be covering the absolutely ridiculous, some might say it has changed in industry forever. But yes, we will be talking about the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar saga and just how this whole thing snowballed into what it has become and leading to quite literally not just one of the best diss songs of all time, but one of the catchiest and literally now arguably the song of the summer. I tell you, I really wish we could play these tracks in the station, even if they were censored, but we just don't have them. And honestly, hearing them censored would feel really weird, especially given a few of them, but it was quite a saga. We're going to dive into all the nitty gritty of it as we possibly can, given the constraints of the FCC, because wouldn't you know, we are still a terrestrial radio show. Also, we will be getting into just anything and everything that the internet has thrown our way over the last couple of weeks. But before we actually go into the music here, let's get a quick check here of your weather on this very hot this hot June day. Currently in Fort Lupton, it is 87 degrees with a high of 93, a low of 54, sunny skies, no wind. Currently in Loveland, it is 88 with a high of 92, a low of 56, sunny skies, wind gusts up to 1 mile per hour. Ooh, that's going to be nice and warm or nice and hot. I am actually headed out to Loveland in a few hours after the show is done because I am going to the AEW Dynamite show at the Budweiser Event Center. I'm sorry, I'm not calling it Blue Federal Credit Union Arena just yet. That just doesn't feel right. it's like, even though it's been the Ball Arena for years, I still call it the Pepsi Center. There's just something to it, okay? Don't judge me. Or judge me. I don't care. Currently in Windsor, it is 87 degrees with a high of 93, a low of 55, sunny skies, no wind. And on the home campus of Greeley, we are looking at 94 degrees, or my apologies, 93 degrees with a high of 94, low of 56, sunny skies, wind gusts of up to 2 miles per hour. Stay hydrated, wear your sunscreen because it is hot out there. And while we wait for Kion to get in a break from tradition, since this is just the summer edition of the show, I'm not going to do any Taylor Swift songs until Kion shows up. However, I am wearing something that is going to trip Kion up so bad, and it's going to be so funny, and you will all get to hear about it once we have the two of us in here. But up next, we got Monster by Paramore here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. Enjoy. And welcome back to the Dumpster Fire 4.2, part of AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I am Josh. I have now been joined by Kion.
Hello.
Hello, and the madness will resume.
I am back from my class now, and now I am here.
You are back from your class. I got here, and I was just like looking at stuff online, and then I finally finished. Well, I had it finished, but I hadn't got it uploaded. Basically, the solo episode that you and Dax did.
Oh,
I finally got that uploaded as like a
did
bonus
you ever listen
episode.
To all of it?
Oh yeah.
Was it fun? Was it wonderful?
Yeah. It was chaotic.
This is why I did not do a solo by myself the other day. It would have been like that, but it's so much worse. So
yeah, no, I was gonna say I definitely got a kick out of the very, very last segment where it was just like, we miss you, Josh, but we're not gonna tell him that because he's gonna get a big head. And I was just like, y'all were just waiting for me to hear this.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man,
you know, you edit it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I kept that in. I was like, no, we're keeping this in. The joke's gonna stay alive. But anywho's, time for the bread and butter of this chaotic episode. We had quite a meat and potatoes actually sound really good right now. Oh man, that is how you know that I haven't really eaten a whole lot today. But I'm saving that for later on because I do have to go to Loveland later on tonight. And right across the highway from where I'm going to be in Loveland, there is In-N-Out Burger, and they are not closed until 1 a.m. So
fun.
So I was like, I might have to talk my parents into something.
There you go.
Yeah. But anywho's, we had quite a bit of a conflict early last month. We finally had, well, not finally, it had been somewhat brewing for multiple years. You can actually go back a decade plus, but it finally came to a head. We had Drake and Kendrick Lamar just completely taking shots at one another, which led to Drake getting utterly destroyed.
Yeah. Now, I will say I am not someone who listens to rap music, so this was completely outside my sphere of, like, knowledge, basically. Like, this was not in my... sorry. This was not, like, something I was aware of at all until, like, the beginning of this month when, like, everyone else was talking about it.
Yeah.
And so I've had a really fun time trying to be like, what are all of you talking about? And trying to get caught up. It was very fun.
It was, it was big when it actually permeated like into like the mainstream consciousness.
Right. Like I am someone who actively dislikes a whole lot of rap. That being said, like I don't mind it if like other people will listen to it, you know? But, like, I do not choose to ever listen to rap in my own ever.
Yeah.
And so for someone like me and, like, my dad to know about this is how you know it's a bigger deal.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had coworkers of mine who I'm pretty sure have never listened to a rap song in their life.
Yeah.
That were talking about this. Like, my, even my boss got in on it, and she's usually, like, uptight professional at work, and like during our meetings when we had downtime, she was just like, yo, do y'all hear this stuff? And it's like,
That's funny.
Yeah. And it even got to the point where like so Inside the NBA, it's a show that basically goes on in between NBA games during the week. It's on TNT. It's a very long running show, and they have a history of playing rap music, like, for the intros and the outros, because obviously, hip hop and basketball have always been kind of intertwined. they were playing some of the Kendrick Lamar songs, and you actually had like the host commenting on it and being like, oh no, now we're getting sucked in because we're playing these songs now. And one of the hosts, I think it was Charles Barkley, was actually like, okay, but if we're gonna play one, we got to play the other. And it was like, no, just play the Kendrick stuff. So it got pretty crazy. And even more crazy, I want to say, Stella's downtown. It's obviously, barcade, very fun little place. It's like an adult Chuck E. Cheese, basically.
So I've been there. Stella's is basically like a karaoke bar, an actual bar. It has an arcade.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, like you said, it is kind of a mix between an actual bar and like an arcade.
Yeah. So they have a jukebox in there, and oftentimes you'll hear, usually rock music played in there, occasionally some more pop culture stuff. The time I went in there before this, they were actually playing stuff off of Taylor's new album, which I promise I'll keep those references to a minimum, because Dax will still get me.
Yeah, Dax might not be here, but they will virtually... Dear, there it is. That's Dax.
Yep.
Yeah,
there
Dax
it
is getting you.
Yeah, Dax is like,
you mentioned
better watch
Taylor.
out.
Yeah.
Yep. So, anywho's, they were playing one of the Kendrick songs inside of Stella's. Like, Stella's is the last place that you would expect to hear this.
Yeah. Are you dying more?
I'm dying less now.
Stop dying.
I'm trying not to. I have a cure.
Yeah? Oh, there Josh goes. Josh is opening his backpack. He's going through the backpack. Oh, he has gotten a can of Mountain Dew. Oh, Josh is coughing and dying. Oh dear. Josh is failing to operate a zipper and is sitting back in the chair. Thank you for that. Thanks. And Josh is now drinking the Mountain Dew and is no longer dying. Good job. I'm sure that was heavily entertaining.
So, that was the other thing that happened that same week. Basically, a few days after we got out, I somehow got a little ick. I got a little sick.
Oh, you got sick?
Yeah, to the point that I actually had to go to the doctor.
Uh-oh.
And so I have reactive airways. Moral of the story, don't smoke, kids. And basically what happened was I had a little bit of a stomach bug that did end up being bad enough that it caused a flare-up of my airways.
Oh.
And
that's what you're talking about with like the don't smoke kids.
Yes.
You have like bad lungs.
Yes. So what happened was whenever you get a flare-up, your lungs create a lot of mucus to try to protect themselves from the dry, irritating feeling. But the problem is with reactive airways, they make a lot more of it. And it basically got to the point that I even had to miss some time off of work because I literally could not breathe.
That's not great.
So, yeah, that was a pain, and I had to get a bunch of medicine, and that was not fun. And it was actually, I think it was stuff I was sending you and Dax. I was like, yeah, look at this stuff I found.
Yeah. I remember you saying in our dumpster fire group chat about like, hey, I'm sick. What do I do about this? And Dax was like, go to a doctor.
Yeah, that was basically that whole thing. Because at first I was like, oh, maybe it'll be just a day and I'll be fine.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, no, this is 2 days. Oh, no, I'm getting really sick. Oh, this is bad. Yeah. And so I have to drink a lot of fluids. I can't take a whole lot of...
I do have to say, though, Josh, when your doctor says to drink a whole lot of fluids, they mean like Gatorade, water.
So
not Mountain Dew Zero.
Okay, so there is a reason why, and I think this all ties into my, let's say, affection for caffeine.
Addiction.
Caffeine is a stimulant.
Which you can be addicted to.
But it also opens up the airways.
What?
Yeah. It is legitimately medically proven that caffeine as a stimulant opens up the airways.
I don't have Dax here to double check this, but okay. Listen, buddy, if there's You know what also opens your airways?
Medicine I can't afford.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Being outside?
I mean, I already do that a lot, and I work out a lot, and the pills and the green tea pills that I take obviously have caffeine in them, and I
Yeah.
take those before I work out. So I'm like,
Sir.
this makes sense.
Okay, listen. Just because it might help with the airways doesn't mean you aren't caffeine addicted.
I mean, I'm not denying it at this point,
Uh-huh.
but at least it makes a little more sense.
Smidge.
A smidge more sense.
So what you're saying is being a smoker led to you having a caffeine addiction.
I think it made it worse because I already liked caffeine a lot before.
Oh.
But now it's like, oh, there's a reason now.
Yeah.
Back then it was just like, oh, Mountain Dew tastes good. Energy drinks
Yeah.
taste good.
And now it's like the airway thing, but also the sleeping schedule's different as well.
Yes. So now it's more like, so now when I say, oh, caffeine keeps me alive, it's like kind of a literally
Yeah. Right.
now for
Yeah.
me. So
Josh
yeah.
doesn't know what sleep is.
I really don't. And they can attest to it by the times that they get messages from me on Snapchat.
To be fair, I am always also awake. So, yeah.
Yes.
But I'm like the opposite of Dax. Dax will like fall asleep at like 5 p.m. But I, on the other hand, will likely have only been up for like 2 hours by 5 p.m. sometimes. So, oh, we have a visitor.
We do. Hi. Oh,
What's up?
okay. I have no idea what that was.
I don't either.
Wow, I'm actually doing this. I'm standing up on the chair.
Sir, please don't break the chair.
I think I'll
Josh?
break before the chair.
Josh, if you break the chair, Joe will be mad. Oh, our visitor is showing us
It's
an
a
image.
duck.
Thank
It's
you.
a duck. Thank you for the
window
duck.
visitor. Thank
you.
We have been shown a picture of a duck.
We
through
have been
through
blessed
the
by
bubble.
the duck.
Thank you.
We have been blessed by the duck.
Excellent.
But wow, we got really sidetracked. But anywho's,
maybe we should let them listen to music.
we should let them listen to music. We'll be back with more about this great hip hop feud. But up next, we actually have a "Don't Speak" by No Doubt. Enjoy. And welcome back to the
dear.
Dumpster Fire 4.2 part of Abe Student Radio, the way radio should be. I am Josh here with Kion, and Kion is destroying
I'm
our
prepared.
studio. Kion is prepared, but also destroyed the studio in the meantime.
I most certainly was not trying to get my backpack onto the other chair and then realized the microphone was 3 feet above my head. That's not what happened.
That is not what happened.
That's not what happened.
No.
I am prepared.
Kion is prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we will go ahead and get back to it. So yeah, this absolutely crazy Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. You had you had a few barbs thrown both sides, but basically what it boiled down to at the end was basically Drake being like, "Haha, your feet are small," and then Kendrick just deciding to completely obliterate,
Dial it up way more.
completely
yeah.
obliterate Drake and his legacy.
Yeah.
And just completely destroy it, call him out on many things.
Topics in which we don't want to cover on air.
Yes.
But how did this start is what is most confusing to me.
So basically a few months prior to all of this, Drake and J. Cole released an album together. Like,
Okay.
those two had been buddy-buddy for a while. And in one of the songs, both of them basically throw disses at Kendrick.
Okay.
And basically it gets to a point where J. Cole basically is like, oh, we're the big three of rap. Basically
Okay.
trying to elevate himself and Drake up to Kendrick's level, essentially. Even though that's kind of hard because Kendrick is one thing and Drake and J. Cole are another thing.
To my knowledge, which I emphasize is limited, I personally have heard of Kendrick way more
Yeah.
than who was the other guy?
J. Cole.
Yeah. But like I know Drake.
Yeah.
So
I was like, everybody knows Drake.
yeah. So was Jay like just kind of like a rapper buddy of Drake?
So J. Cole has been on the rise a lot as of late, but he really kind of just became really buddy with Drake as of
Okay.
late, like to the point that they even did a tour together.
Okay.
And basically after that line in the song, we didn't hear anything from Kendrick for months.
So follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Do they all do similar-ish style rap? Like, what is their main differences?
So they're I guess when they mean by the big three, they mean by like the most sales right
Okay.
now, because their styles are very different. J. Cole is kind of does his own thing, much like Kendrick. Drake has always been kind of more mainstream, and he's always kind of basically taken different styles of rap
Yeah.
and try to integrate them into his own thing, which is definitely one of the things that Kendrick does really lay into. And
yeah. So Drake doesn't really have his own like style per se. He just kind of
basically takes other people's, essentially.
And then to my knowledge, Kendrick is a very lyrical rapper.
Yes.
Okay.
For Kendrick, basically, I mean, the lyrics are always the first thing, like the lyrics, the flow, the beat always, that's important too. But for Kendrick, he's always been a lyricist.
Okay.
Like he will, like just the way that he words things is just very different compared to like Drake or J. Cole.
Okay.
And that's always been what's kind of set them apart. And so you had that opening round, and then Kendrick didn't say anything, never even responded to it. And then later on in April, and this will all tie in later on, Metro Boomin, really a record producer, he's really getting big. He actually did all the music for the most recent Spider-Verse movie.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Him and Future, another fellow rapper, released an album together.
Okay.
On one of the songs, and no one knew this was happening until the album came out, Kendrick drops a guest verse on one of the albums, and he basically takes shots at both Drake and J. Cole, and basically is like, this ain't no big three, it's just big me. That's like the PG way of saying what he said. And
which to his regard, it kind of feels like their whole like, oh, the big three thing feels a little bit like they're just trying to be like, hey, I'm trying to put myself up to your position. I'm trying to elevate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels very much like he was fully within his right of being like, nobody, you're nowhere close to my level, because he actually is doing a way different style of music. And so to say, oh, we're the big three of rap, but then they don't really do their own thing does not feel, it feels disingenuous. So he was very justified there.
He was very
I
like,
feel.
no. And so J. Cole's part in the saga ends very quickly. He drops another album, which he then, there's one song where he does try to take shots at Kendrick, but it backfires because they're honestly not the strongest disses on earth. And it gets to a point that at a concert, he actually apologizes. He's like, what I did was very lame. And he actually took down the song. And
That's
at this
fun.
point, J. Cole has bowed out of this feud.
What I think is funny about that is the fact that like he tried to diss him again, but then it was so like mid that he was just like, oh, never mind. That was not a good take.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like that just emphasizes the fact that he was not on par.
Yeah, he basically, and here's the thing, and I'll admit I was part of this too. Everybody was clowning on J. Cole for backing out. Everyone's like, oh, if you're gonna say it with your chest. But then
That's so real for him to back out, though.
But then as this saga goes on, we began to realize J. Cole was probably the smartest man in the room to back out.
He was keeping his hide clean for sure, and I respect that, like, for real.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I think is funny about all this is to me, this is giving, like, a lot of the times, like, I'm talking, like, Revolution-ish era, people would, like, publish, like, their thoughts in like newspapers and whatnot, and then like the next day or like an opposing paper would have their statement. It feels a lot like that. This feels like the arguments you'd see in between like correspondence, like newspapers. And so I'm loving just sitting back and seeing like this form of history in a new form. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, it is absolutely insane. And then after this, the feud picks up very, very quickly. I'm actually going to pull up the timeline because it basically, there's nothing, and then it just explodes.
So J. Cole tries to diss Kendrick again, and then the song doesn't do good because it's a bad take, and then he apologizes.
Yeah, and at this point, J. Cole's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then Drake basically goes for it on his own.
Yeah.
And he releases a song, and he tries to take shots at Kendrick, but then he also takes shots at other artists, including Metro Boomin. This will tie in. And he takes shots at The Weeknd, which he's had a feud with The Weeknd for a long time. So then it got to the point where...
Is this just the thing Drake does? Does he just like picking fights?
I think he tries to do it... How do I say this? Drake tries to do it more to get clout than anything else rather than actual beef, it seems like. It's like if it gets his name out there, he'll do it.
That makes sense, actually. This feels like the kind of thing that gets started just so there's something like articles will write about, you know?
Yep.
That I can see that.
And then it gets a little crazier. So this is basically where Drake basically fires his best shot at Kendrick, and he's like, haha, you're short, basically. And the same day, Drake releases another song, which you can't find anymore for very specific reasons. So he basically tries to take more shots at Kendrick. They tend to backfire, but then he tries to use AI to basically replicate the voices of Tupac and Snoop Dogg, which are two California-based rappers.
No.
So is Kendrick. But here's the big problem. Kendrick is a very close friend of Tupac's family and his estate. They are tight. And basically Tupac's estate went to Drake and is like, you better take this down.
Yeah, that you can't just generate this person's voice. You did not get permission to do that. Yeah.
Yep. And then basically like a few days later, the song got taken down. The
I
cease
didn't
and
know
desist.
about that part.
So you can't even find the song
That's
anymore.
Interesting.
Like
I
if you
didn't
like
know
people
that.
try to put it on YouTube and it got knocked down.
Huh.
Yeah, because and then a few days later, Kendrick responds, and he does two songs in a very short period of time. He does Euphoria, which
that's the one I heard of.
Yeah, and that's where it really picks up. He begins to really start taking more and more shots at Drake, and then
some of which contain alleged actions.
That's later on. No,
this is later.
This is later. So right now he's just basically calling out Drake for some of the more fake things, and these are the ones that we can actually talk about on air. So alleging that he basically used plastic surgery to get abs, and also that basically he's not really there for his one kid for now. And then pretty much after this, he releases another song where he takes more shots at Drake. And this one's called 616 in LA, which is very deliberate. It's a very deliberate jab.
616 in LA?
It's very deliberate because Drake has a trend to basically release songs that are like timestamps. So like, for example, he has one called 8 a.m. in Charlotte.
Okay.
Like he does things like
so
this.
He's kind of taking Drake's format.
And kind of takes a shot, and he throws more shade. He throws more shade at Drake. This one doesn't really have a lot of very vicious disses. It's just more like, he's kind of warning him. He's like, you better knock it off.
Question here. Is this sort of thing common? Because again, I'm not someone who listens to rap
music. We haven't had a feud like this in about 20 years.
Because the way that this starts seems fairly subdued, so to say. You know, like you said, it seems very much like Drake is just kind of being like, here's other people who are well known in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm like them. And like is just trying to start beef just so people will write articles, that kind of thing. And so my question here is, was Kendrick's responses like at first it was pretty like, okay, yeah, no, you know, we're not on the same level. So, but my question here is like, do people frequently have this kind of back and forth disregarding the fact that this has gone out of hand?
We haven't seen it get to this kind of level in almost 20 years. The last time we saw something like this was Jay-Z and Nas. And that was like very vicious.
Do people like have the back and forth at all though? Like not necessarily the arguments.
The back and forth does, when you get a rap feud like this, you do get the back and forth because that's what makes up the feud is someone fires a shot, the other person fires back.
So in general, this is not a thing that happens.
Not to this level with artists this big.
Okay.
Like Jay-Z and Nas was the last time, and that was over 20 years ago.
Got it. Okay.
And then it picks up even more because a little bit after 616 in LA, Drake drops a song called Family Matters. And this is basically like his last quote unquote best shot where he alleges, and this is actually a part I can't actually say.
Yeah.
He alleges that one of Kendrick's kids is not actually his, which later on ended up being proven false. He also tries to claim that Kendrick isn't the best person behind the scenes, which also proven false. And he also tries to basically takes a shot at Metro Boomin in the song again.
Right.
This'll all tie in.
So far has basically only done the one album and has stayed out of it.
He just basically did he basically had the one album with the one song that Kendrick did a verse on. So Metro's not really
been
in
a huge
this
part of it.
Yeah, but basically Drake takes a shot at Metro again, basically tells him, Metro, just shut up and play your drums, because he's a producer. That'll tie in later on. And then at that excuse me.
No dying.
At that point, we end up, so Family Matters comes out, it's about an hour, people are like, okay, Drake kind of took a shot here.
Okay.
And this is where things finally explode.
Which is the most recent one, right?
This is basically where it got blown wide open, and this is where Drake basically dug himself a grave that he's never going to get out of. Kendrick releases a song called Meet the Grahams.
Okay.
Drake's real name is Aubrey Graham.
Fun.
Drake has a
Did
very...
we know that before?
Drake has a very, let's just say, interesting family.
Okay.
And this whole song, Kendrick basically targets not just Drake, but his whole family, including his child. He basically is like, Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that your father is this horrible person who has done things that we cannot talk about on air. And then he goes on to target Drake's mother and is like, how could you condone this behavior? Like, are you undermining this? Goes to his father.
When he's addressing a lot of the family members, he's basically saying like, how does it feel to be related to this scum, basically?
Yes.
So he's not really directly dissing them.
Yeah,
but he's
but
kind
basically
of being like
you guys are the reason that he's like this.
Or being like, how do you put up with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or basically just saying like, oh, you guys are just as bad because you're mooching off of his success and his money. And targets, his mother, his father. And then it is, so the whole thing with Drake's kid is no one ever knew he had a kid. He basically kept it hidden from the world until he got exposed and then he has like, I have a kid.
Okay.
Kendrick alleges that there is another kid that Drake has had that has a daughter, and basically is like, look, I'm sorry that your dad is hiding you from the world and doing this again, and he might end up having another kid to hide the fact that you exist. And and then at the end he finally just lays into Drake and just
directly
and finally is like, you like basically exposing everything that Drake has been caught lying about through his entire career, throughout having ghostwriters, throughout using different accents when he tries to rap to try to sound different, with just so many other things like involving like even people in his record label and his religious views. Basically anything that Drake has been clearly caught lying about, Kendrick lays into him.
Okay.
And I mean utterly lays into him. Like you would think, oh, this is it. It's got to be over.
Yeah.
Almost. So then, and Meet the Grams, it sounds like a very scary song. The beat is very simple. It's just like a slow piano, but it almost sounds like a horror movie that picks up a little bit as basically Drake, or as Kendrick is basically just destroying.
So he's trying to get like the level of like horror of what.
Yeah, he's basically Kendrick at this point. He's like, I'm the boogeyman. I'm coming to destroy you.
And it's also like, this is the horrific things that he's been doing. This is the terrible things that's been going on. And like, it's building, it's getting worse, you know? Okay, I like
He basically tells people that are close to Drake or part of his entourage, like even famous people that have associated with Drake, basically tells them, hey, keep your family away from this man.
Honestly, I kind of like the way that he did that.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, him being like, hey, Drake's family, I'm warning y'all, is kind of his way of being like, hey, you know, I'm sorry that his downfall is going to impact you, but also you are mooching off this guy who's been doing terrible things. So it's kind of his way of being like, anyone who's associated with him, you know, he sucks.
Yeah.
But
like, get away from him.
Right. It's his warning that is like his career is going to fall. And so you want to start cutting ends now because you shouldn't get more wrapped up in it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, and so if Meet the Grams was the funeral, Not Like Us is basically Kendrick taking Drake's remains and vaporizing them. And this song, he purposely made it extremely catchy. To the point that like, that was actually the song that was playing inside of Stella's. People literally vibe to this song. And Kendrick actually had a really smart move here because he removed the copyright restrictions off of the songs, so people could use them. Yeah, so people could use them on TikToks and stuff like that. And
that's so
with
smart.
Not Like Us, at this point, Kendrick just goes straight for it. He straight up calls Drake a P word.
Yeah.
His whole inner circle straight up calls them the P word.
Yeah.
And basically calls out people in Drake's record label, because he owns one, and basically says, hey, if you're not this, why do you have these P words on your record label?
Crimes.
And then just basically tears into him, alleges that, and there have been a lot of rumors around this, that Drake basically runs a P-word ring out of his very, very big mansion. And it just got, and at this point, like, it should be over.
Yeah. So what I find, honestly, that was a very good summary because I didn't know about several pieces of that. The thing that I found very interesting was just how quickly.
Yeah.
Because it to me, I got the impression that Kendrick was very like, listen, man, you're not leaving me alone.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to annihilate you now. To me, I got the impression that like Drake just kept doing a couple little shots here and there. He's riling up his buddy. But then Kendrick basically came out of left field and was like, hey, listen, stop. And then he didn't. And so then this happened, you know? So to me, I'm getting the impression that, like, this could have been avoided if he just would have, you know, not picked this fight, you know?
Yeah. So this, in between all of this chaos, this is where Metro Boomin comes in.
Okay.
Because basically in one of the tracks, Drake is like, Metro, just shut up and make drums.
Yeah.
He took that to heart. And he released a beat called BBL Drizzy, playing off of the rumor that Drake has a BBL.
Funny. I love that.
But Metro takes it up a notch because he also takes the copyrights off, and he tells people, hey, I want you. Metro took the copyrights off of BBL Drizzy. So he basically tells people, hey, make raps over this, remix this beat,
hilarious.
and I will listen to them, and the winner will get a free beat made by me and $10,000. So basically, it got to the point where there were literally people dissing Drake
Like a lot of people.
in over 100 different languages.
That's hilarious.
So basically, Metro basically turned
That's
around and
so
said, now you
funny.
can diss Drake from the comfort of your own home.
And I might pay you for it.
And I might pay you for
That's
it.
so funny.
And
I
yes,
didn't know that.
so basically Drake calling out Metro, that
and
backfired.
like Metro was trying to stay out of it, basically.
Metro was just like Metro was just kind of there, but
Yeah.
then Drake basically
They
brought
just
him in. And
happened
he's
to
like,
be in the room, basically.
yeah, and basically Metro's like, all right, I'll play your drums.
That's hilarious.
And just destroy. And the BBL Drizzy thing has taken on a life of its own to the point where, and I'll show you the video in a second.
Yeah.
Metro showed up at a St. Louis Cardinals game, and he's just DJing like outside of the
That's so
stadium.
funny.
He starts playing BBL Drizzy, and the crowd literally starts singing BBL Drizzy.
That's so funny.
And then Drake tries to fire back after the release of Not Like Us,
Yeah.
but
He's gone. He's buried.
he's gone. He doesn't try. So in the song, he denies having another child,
okay.
but he doesn't really deny the
crimes.
P word stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if anything, he makes it worse because the most high profile case, and I'm going to try to PG-fy it as much as I
Yeah.
can, was his friendship with Millie Bobby Brown, aka 11 on Stranger Things,
Yeah.
when she was only 14.
Right.
Rather than, alleging, rather than trying to deny anything else, he like name drops her in the song.
And Kendrick never mentioned her.
Yeah, Kendrick never brought her up. So it's
Yeah.
like he's basically exposing himself.
Right.
And it got to the point, like, the song overall, it was just very bad disses, and it made Drake look even worse.
So at this point, Drake is already buried.
Drake
He's
is already
already
buried,
vaporized.
and he buries himself.
So then now we're burying the vaporized remains
Yep.
again. Or maybe putting them in a river?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it gets even, and at this point, it's like, at this point, everyone's basically like, Kendrick won. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, and Drake basically has clowned himself more because he, in Euphoria, Kendrick makes a reference to a rapper named, up and coming rapper named Sexy Red,
Okay.
and is basically like, watch, Drake is gonna do something with Sexy Red to try to get more clout.
Okay.
Last week, Sexy Red drops a mixtape.
Oh dear.
Drake has a feature on the mixtape.
That's
So
hilarious.
Kendrick was like,
I told you.
Kendrick basically told us all what he was going to do.
That's
And
funny.
rather than try to do something crazy, Drake clowns himself more because he tries to rap over the BBL Drizzy beat.
Oh no.
But rather than being like, oh, I'm going to take this beat and I am going to drop, a diss on Kendrick or on
Right.
Metro or on anything,
Yeah.
he clowns himself. He's basically like, yeah, I'm the BBL king.
Oh no.
Girls come to me looking for
Yeah.
BBLs and I can change their lives.
No.
So
he
he just clowns himself even more.
At this point, he's just making it worse.
Yeah, at this point, it's just like, bro, just stop
Interesting.
for a second. Just like stop
Interesting.
talking. And it was, funny. Like, even Drake's most stringent defenders, and he does have a few. Please go get help. We're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, at this point, really, the only way that Drake can save face is if he just stops.
Right.
Just like,
At this
just
point, if
don't
he
do
just
anything for like
just
6
ignore
months.
it. Just don't make a new album. Don't do anybody
Just don't do anything. Just stay in your
Just
stay
go
in your
take a
mansion.
nap.
Yeah.
Go take a nap.
So yes, and it just gets absolutely it's just absolutely
Huh.
insane.
That's so interesting.
It was all and the very worst of it, so when you had Meet the Grams and Not Like Us
Yeah.
and Euphoria, all of this happened in about the span of a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Wait, were they all like singles?
yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
You can find almost all of them on Spotify except for 616 in LA. For some reason, that one's not on there, but everything else is.
What do you know what 616 is on?
It's on, YouTube.
Just YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you want to go listen to all that music, unfortunately, we don't have it on the radio.
Yeah, there's no way they'd let us play
it. there's rules. But
Yeah, I actually made a playlist of all of the Kendrick tracks. Like, I have my own personal... I'm not a fan of... Well, how do I say this? Early Drake, I was like, okay, but then later on, as more and more of the stuff coming out and the P-word stuff, ever since then, like, I personally just don't listen to him just because it's like, no, I'm not gonna... Because that's all money. I'm like, I'm not gonna, I'm not going to give money to this, so I just don't listen to Drake. But I made a playlist of all of the Kendrick songs.
That's so funny.
And I just called it Drake's Funeral.
What you could do, theoretically, is just, like, find them on YouTube, Drake stuff, because, like, re-uploads don't give him money.
Yeah,
so,
but, like,
still.
It's still, like, me, it's a personal thing. I'm like, I'm not going to,
gotcha.
I'm just not going to listen to him.
On a slightly different note, before we go back to music, we've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
Is Macklemore has released a song. I forgot Macklemore was about completely. Go listen to it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think I heard. So I remember slightly hearing about this, but this was in the midst of this whole war going on.
Right. So go listen to Macklemore's new song, and that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, but we will go ahead and let it get back to the music here a little bit on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. And welcome back to the Dumpster Fire 4.2, part of AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I am Josh, here with Kion.
Who is disappointed.
Why are you disappointed?
So you just said it gets hot in here because I'm here.
I mean, yeah.
So I'm disappointed.
Okay. What's new? No, I'm kidding. But so let's actually go ahead and get a quick check here of your weather, because it is the top of the hour on this very warm day. I'm going to refrain from making hot jokes because I can feel...
You have hit your limit now.
I've hit my limit, and I can feel, like, Dax's gaze, like...
From across the pond.
Just being like,
They're probably not even listening right now, but...
No, but they
know.
They have their sixth sense.
Yeah, they know when Josh is being Josh.
Yep, and it's just like, you're going to stop now. And it's like, okay. So currently in Fort Lupton, it is 87 degrees with a high of 93, a low of 54, sunny skies, no wind. Currently in Loveland, where I'll be in less than 2 hours, it is 88 degrees with a high of 92, a low of 56, sunny skies, wind gusts up to 1 mile per hour. In Windsor, it is currently 87 with a high of 93, sunny, or low of 55, sunny skies, no wind. And on the home campus of Greeley, it is currently 93 with a low of 90, or with a high of 94. I love this.
No, Josh,
a low
make
of 56.
It rain. No, make it cloudy and not rain outside.
No, my car's still drying off from the storm, so no.
But listen, I'm probably gonna have to walk home, and it's gonna be 94 or 3, and it's too hot. It's much nicer to walk home in the rain, Josh. You're in control of the weather because you read it. Please make it rain outside.
But my car's still drying off.
No, it's fine.
Water got into it when we got the storm last week.
No, it's fine.
No. And wind gusts up to 2 miles per hour. But anywho's, so going back to the Dumpster Fire 4.1, it was either the last episode or it might have been the second to last episode. There was a moment where I was browsing through Hot Topics website, as a Josh tends to do.
A Josh,
specifically this Josh. Hi. And there was a certain shirt.
Josh bought a Twilight shirt.
I bought a Twilight shirt. I legitimately bought a Twilight shirt.
Josh is wearing the Twilight shirt.
I am wearing the Twilight shirt. There were other times that I thought about wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, no, I'm going to wait, because this joke with me getting the shirt tied into the show, I am going to wait until we're actually doing the show to wear the shirt.
I did specifically ignore the shirt solely just because I saw earlier you texted me and said, "I'm going to wear a shirt." And my response was, "Oh no." And there was a part of me that really wanted to do just a dad joke and be like, "I sure hope so." But I came into the show expecting you to wear a interesting shirt, and I just saw Twilight and was like, "Oh, it's Twilight." In my mind, I was ready for you to have like a Spencer's level shirt. I was prepared for you to have like a "Why are you wearing this at school" shirt. So the Twilight was almost like, thank goodness it's just Twilight.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to shirts, I won't really do anything super controversial, really. Well, I guess some people would. If anything, like the most I'll get is like with this shirt, it's just like, why?
Yeah, but like,
it's like it's harmless, but it's like, why are you wearing it?
I was so ready for you to have like risque is not the right word, but like one of those like anime girl shirts. Or
a
something.
waifu shirt. Yeah,
yeah.
No,
I was ready to be like, Josh. The second Dax left is when you decided to get like the most like, why are you wearing that shirt?
No,
but it's okay. So
no. One, I don't really watch
Twilight.
a lot of anime, but two, how do I say this? I've never really been a big fan of like those particular type of shirts.
Yeah.
Like, how do I say this? There is a certain stigma around wearing that type of shirt.
Yeah.
And I myself like don't feel comfortable wearing them. Like, if you want to wear them, to each their own, whatever.
I understand.
But
that.
for me personally, like that's just never been
I feel
my
like
thing.
In particular, if guys wear those kind of shirts, it's sort of like oh, are you wearing that for the very wrong reasons kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's just like, are you wearing it to try to be funny or
Yeah. And in my personal opinion, I think all of that is pretty true. But what I think is probably the most like just why is when you start putting that on like cars. And I don't mean like you have like your favorite character and like a sticker.
When it is very deliberately drawn in a certain way.
You have like your entire back window you can't even really see through because there is art that should not be shown to the public on the back of it. That is like, I don't like, it's one thing to have a poster or a shirt or a water bottle, all of that stuff, and it's another thing to have that on like a banner on the vehicle you drive around in public,
then it gets a little weird. Like for me, like I really like Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Cyberpunk is good.
Yeah, but I don't have a lot of the merch because a lot of the merch, especially for the female characters in the show, tends to show them in like, either certain poses.
Right.
Or very sort of scantily clad, and I don't really want to wear that. Like, there was one shirt I did find that had a David and Lucy on them, and they were just more like in an action pose, like they were getting ready to like blow something up because that's kind of what they do. But it wasn't like, it wasn't like in a very, scantily position or anything like that, whereas a lot of the other shirts for some of the other characters, and even even a couple of the ones for Lucy, were just like okay, it is art, but it's not art that I want to wear.
Slightly different direction with it is like, I have several t-shirts that are merch for like YouTubers, and I really, really like the shirts and I really like the designs, but I frequently don't love wearing them to like work per se. Especially my Technoblade one. R.I.P. King, by the way. But because like it looks very much like it's like a band T-shirt. Or like it's like, how to say, like an RPG, like a fighter RPG shirt, which is cool because if you wear it to something like, just out and about to like a bar or whatever, it looks cool because then you have like a cool like fighter-esque shirt. But then if you wear it to work, your boss goes, "Hey, why are you wearing this like what looks like a metal shirt?" And it's and then the other side of it is like it's cool because you can sometimes find people that also like the show or creator or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you immediately get typecasted as someone who likes that thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I do like this thing that I am wearing the shirt for. But for example, I have a Parks and Rec shirt.
Yeah.
I've never seen that show. Someone just bought me the shirt. And I like it because it's a good color green. And then people would come up to me and start saying Parks and Rec's quotes, which is fun if I had watched Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
But no, my grandma bought me this shirt. So
there you go.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's it's definitely like a different thing. You know, like if you want to wear the shirts, cool.
Right.
You know, I ain't gonna say
I think
don't.
it's just a time and a place kind of thing. Yeah.
Like, granted, there are certain, there will always be those people that will deliberately wear them to purposely get a
Like
reaction.
attention, yeah.
And that's always been a thing, and that's just always going to be a thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But we should probably wrap up, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Josh has to leave.
Yeah.
And I would try to carry this on my own, but you don't want to hear me ramble about Greek mythology for another 2 hours. So that'll probably be this dumpster fire.
Yep. So the plan is, at least temporary, or for now, probably will be slightly shorter episodes during the summer semester. While we get everything sorted out, and then
our schedules are not lining up well.
Yeah,
this
they are
semester.
not. I mean, yeah, like I even said at the beginning of the show, we basically had to like reschedule this thing like 3 times, but we're kind of working on it now, so we'll see how it goes. But
I'm sorry, Joe. I keep emailing you every time we think we get it figured out. You're gonna get
apologize
more
in
emails.
advance, Joe. But we do thank you so much, folks, for listening, and you all have a great rest of your day. If you are out there, wear sunscreen, stay hydrated.
That's what I forgot. I forgot sunscreen.
This was a dumpster fire, and you've all been warned.